Throughout this series, we've discussed the different body systems, and now it's time to bring it all together and think about how we can manage the whole horse. In the final episode of this series of Horses Explained, we are joined by vet and equine behaviour specialist Gemma Pearson to discuss the whole horse approach to managing horses holistically. Okay, Gemma, so thank you so much for joining us in this episode. We're going to be discussing the whole horse approach. How has the horse evolved into the animal that we have today?
Thank you. So yeah, I guess first of all, if we think about what evolution is, I'm sure many people are familiar with Charles Darwin and the natural selection for strong traits. So there are kind of three things. You have to be able to reproduce, and that's not had such a big effect in horses. But the key things in terms of evolution with horses is you have to be able to eat and you have to be able to avoid being eaten. So if we go back many centuries, we start looking at the dawn horse, which was Eohippus, and this was about the same size as a fox. It had 4 toes and it had a very flexible spine like a rabbit. It was a forest dwelling animal, it was a browser, so it was very good at darting around and getting away from things. But over time, horses have evolved to be grazers. So in terms of being able to eat, their dentition has changed, so they have an arcade of molars now, which allows them to grind the food and the grass effectively. It also means that they've developed this amazing microbiome, that's all the bugs, the healthy bugs that live in your gut, and an amazing digestive system to be able to get from grass what we as human beings couldn't do. They can get the energy from it. So that's the eating. Then there's avoiding being eaten, which is prey animals, is very important. So to be able to do that, first of all, horses have to be able to see above the grass. If they want to eat the juicy grass at the bottom, they need a nose that's long enough so their eyes are positioned above the average grass line to see predators coming. And then their eyes are actually shaped so they have a horizontal pupil. Okay. So whereas we are very good at focusing on something, they are very good at scanning the whole horizon and seeing movement on the horizon. Obviously they can see pretty much 360 degrees around themselves, and as they move their head as they're grazing, because we know they have a blind spot behind them, but actually as they move their head from side to side, that tiny blind spot is always disappearing. It's somewhere else. So it's very hard to hide and creep up on a horse. They're very sensitive to movement in the distance. And then of course, if they do see something, they need to be able to escape. So rather than having that 4-toed creature, they've evolved to just now have 1 toe. So they essentially walk on the tip of their finger, which of course is the hoof. Mm-hmm. Their legs have got longer, they've got taller. And then they've got a more rigid spine, which is to hold the weight of the abdominal organs. But as an advantage, it also means it's strong enough for us to be able to ride them. So that was kind of where we get to with your natural horses, like your Przewalski horses. Mm-hmm. And then of course, this is not evolution, but this is domesticated breeding. We've selected for certain traits. And we've selected thoroughbreds to have lighter feet and bigger heart and lung capacity to be able to run away from things. We've selected warm bloods to be able to jump higher and do more extravagant dressage movements. And we've developed things like draft horses, the Shires and the Clydesdales, to have that amazing power and to be able to pull things.
Amazing. And so you touched on like domesticated breeding there. What impact has our domestication had on a horse's needs?
So if I'm honest, very little when we're talking about basic needs. So we often refer to the basic needs as friends, forage and freedom, the ethological needs, and they are really hardwired into the horse's brain. So just the same as, you know, the horse still has a hoof. We haven't gone from having 4 toes to going back to 2, or, you know, it's changed whilst the hoof shape has changed, it's still a hoof. And the basic needs are still the basic needs with horses. So we always need to think about that. And many horses have been bred to cope better, but even though they may appear to be coping externally, we know that they're not always as happy as we would like them to be. Yeah. And that's why we have to prioritise these.
Amazing. So it can be hard to meet all of a horse's needs at all times. How can horse owners work out which areas of their care and management to prioritise?
Yeah, that's a really hard question, isn't it? Because we need to remember that horses are all individuals, and also the way we keep our horses is very different. So the facilities, the money, the weather you have is going to be very different to someone else. But I think it brings us back to the fact where we talk about the 5 domains model. So we talk about welfare. Welfare is how a horse feels, and we always need to remember that. It's how a horse feels on a range from very good to very bad. So then the 5th domain of the 5 domains model is mental state, how a horse feels. So you then start to say, okay, well, the other domains, the environment, nutrition, the health of the horse, the interactions, and that's interactions with people, with other horses, and with their environment. We need to think about how they impact on how the horse feels. And that's where we need to look at horses as individuals and think, well, for my horse, so my individual horse, I have a thoroughbred. If it starts spitting of rain, she canters into the field shelter. She hates rain. But for most, I'd say the average horse, they don't mind rain very much. No. They'd rather stand out in it with their friends with their backs to the rain and graze. So we know there are certain things such as the 3 Fs, friends, forage and freedom, that are important for all horses. But I think after that, look at your individual horse and think about what's important to them.
No, and I completely agree. I've got 2 Highland ponies myself, and I know that they'll happily stand in snow, wind, rain, and the idea of being inside is probably the last thing that they would want. And so we've touched on the whole horse approach. What do we mean by that, and why is it so important?
Yeah, so when we talk about the whole horse approach, we're thinking about everything that matters to the horse. Again, we think about their mental state. So from a veterinary point of view, you know, if a horse, for example, has a wound, we might say, well, the best thing for that wound to heal is to put the horse on box rest. But if we're thinking about the whole horse, then we start to think, well, first of all, again, from a veterinary point of view, if we suddenly put a horse on box rest, there's an increased risk of a colic impaction, an impaction due to colic. So we might think about, can we give the horse some grass? From the horse's mental state, what about their friends? What about their access to being able to socialise? So really thinking about, when you have one thing that you're considering, every aspect of the horse's life and how they're all going to impact on that. And, you know, mental and physical health are not 2 separate things. They're very intertwined. So trying to do what best you can and don't let perfect be the enemy of good. There's always things we can do to improve it. So as I gave the example of a horse with a wound, yes, it may need to be on box rest. We can do lots to improve that scenario, but actually it also might not need to be on box rest. It may be that it can be in a small paddock with another pony. So looking at the individual, looking at the whole horse and how we can benefit them.
And I think what is so clear from what you've been saying is that it's not looking at your pony with a generalised approach and actually tailoring it to what will make my pony its happiest, actually what suits them the best. It might come down to their breed, their age, what companions they have, and it's not just about, oh, but I think that this would be best for them. I think it's easy to say, oh, well, I wouldn't like that, but actually...
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Perfect. No, thank you so much, Gemma. It's been so helpful talking to you.
Thank you.
I'm now going to catch up with Eileen, Centre Manager at Bellwade Rescue and Rehoming Centre, to find out what the whole horse approach means at World Horse Welfare. So we've spoken with Gemma Pearson about the whole horse approach and why it's so important. As a farm manager, how are you implementing this here at Bellwade Farm?
Okay, whole horse rehab. We at Bellwade, we have been doing this for rather a long time, really when we instigated it right back in the early 90s. Horses, ponies and donkeys coming here from all walks of life. It was very apparent it wasn't just one person that had all the answers. So we started off with the veterinary side and the farrier, then that went on to the physiotherapist, and now we have dentists and orthopaedic referral things. So we're all encompassing on the side of specialists. But really, the one person who is the key to all of the whole horse is the person that's looking after them every day, 24/7, gets to know them inside and out, gets to know their characters, the grooms or the rehabilitation team. They are, as soon as they come off the horse box, they are connecting with their caseloads as they come off. Picking and choosing which ones, it's always very interesting to see who goes for what, because you have that connection with each one. And the majority of the grooms actually pick the ones that they feel that they have that connection with. The specialists, as they come in, they will, farriers we see on a very regular basis, veterinary treatment, of course, referrals. I mean, the whole point is being able to listen, watch and learn what that particular horse, because they're all individuals, actually need. Some come from a very, they come from a very varied background. We have to look at having all the specialists and ourselves, and critically the groom, will actually try and find out what's been going on in the past, and then what is going to be the future for each one.
And I think with what you're saying around the groom sort of picking the ponies that maybe they want to, forge that bond with, it's using that wealth of experience that they already have to tailor that as well. We all come from different backgrounds, we all got different interests, different breeds, different ages.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's the old saying that your puppy will choose you. Well, it's actually a wee bit like that in the horse world too. And it goes, it's a two-way street. But each horse that comes in here, obviously, their welfare is paramount, and that is the key thing to every person that works here. It's what is best for them, how can we help them, what are they trying to tell us that they need, and also their life going forward has got to be better than what it was.
Amazing.
And that, well, amazing. We see so many types and traumas that they might have been through. I'm not going to pick out a specific one because they've all got a story to tell. But I'd like to take pride in the fact that we listen to them, we spot something that's not quite right, and that we will get the proper help for them to be able to get through it.
And it's knowing that that journey, could take any length of time, really. It's not going at everything with a blanket approach of, right, you've got 3 months to turn this pony around from feral or petrified to, being rehomable. It's taking that time to unpick potentially what they've experienced, what they've gone through, and where we see their purpose has headed towards.
You're absolutely right. There's no pressure on you've got a time limit. But we can't, on saying that, we do need to learn about what is needed pretty quickly. And then we can set out a programme of their rehab. Now, obviously, if they need some veterinary care, then that, or first aid treatment, that will be done as a priority. We also have to know the animal in itself, so we do have to screen them, what we call screen them, find out if they're healthy within themselves, and their mental aptitude will come later. The semi-ferals can be actually a lot easier than to unravel, because they don't need unravel. There's been no intervention by a human as such. Looking at ones that have been in a domesticated situation, it's what's gone on before, how they've been trained, what has been the issues with it, why has it stopped wanting to do things, why, and that's where we have to peel away the layers to be able to see the end result and then build up on it. Not every horse can do that, but then we look at what's best for the horse in its future. It'd be lovely to think that we can have farm after farm after farm and keeping them, but with the likes of Belwade Farm here in Scotland, we have a stocking capacity of 65. We know there's another 165 waiting to come in, and that is where we will do the best we can for each individual case as a priority. It's not a number game, but we know that within about under 2 years, that horse has got a future elsewhere. So we're getting quite good at it.
You've been doing it for long enough.
Yes.
Amazing. No, thank you, Eileen. It's been so helpful to understand how this then translates and transfers into a working farm.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Throughout this series, we've explored what physically makes up a horse. Gemma and Eileen have both touched upon the importance of looking beyond horses' purely physiological needs, but why we should always consider their mental state and individual needs too. We can do this by utilising the whole horse approach. By working with a team of specialists and by building trusting relationships with our horses, we can adapt our management to best meet our horses' needs. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I know I've learnt so much from all of our experts. Don't forget to like this video, comment what you have learnt from Gemma and Eileen below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notifications for Series 3, which is coming next summer.